and their use of strange symbols, including the star or pentagram, to some a satanic icon. Finally, this little trick. M-A-S-O-N. Letters that form both the square and compass of Masonry and the Star of David. More proof, some contend, of Masonic control of our economy and our governance.
Is Novus Ordo Seclorum. It comes, I believe, from Virgil. It means a new order of the ages. It does not mean a new secular order. There is no new world order or new order of the ages in Freemasonry. It's not used, it doesn't appear, and any other translation of the new order of the ages shows an abysmal ignorance of Latin.
The words Novus Ordo Seclorum do not mean New World Order, but rather a new order of the ages.
There is no new world order or new there is no new world order or new.
And as for the parlor trick of finding the word Mason on the Great Seal, that's all it is, a trick. Neither of the Bushes are Masons. And Yale's Skull and Bones Club has nothing to do with the craft. The Skull and Crossbones. Consequently, the senior Bush's service at the UN and the CIA had nothing to do with the fact that a Freemason, Harry Truman, established those institutions. As for claims that the Masons are a murderous cult, if there's no age-old conspiracy, there's no need to kill for it.
As early as the Civil War, the Gatling gun gave its enemies a frightening demonstration of what weapons would become.
No other gun in history has been such an effective killing machine as the machine gun. Despite tanks, aircraft, and smart weapons today, the machine gun and its derivatives are still the basic infantry combat gun.
The machine gun. It's not just a weapon, it's a cultural icon. It's a lethal killing machine. The machine gun has remained a constant on the battlefield since the Civil War. The most functional rapid-fire weapon was the Gatling gun, invented by physician Richard Jordan Gatling in 1862. Hiram Maxim invented the first completely automatic weapon.
He went to London. While there, one of his friends reportedly said to him, Hiram, why don't you develop a new way for Europeans to kill each other? They're always at each other's throats. You can make a lot of money.
He kind of said, oh, okay, I'll invent some guns.
Give the Europeans something that they can use to cut each other's throats with, and you'll make a pile of money. This really intrigued Maxim, and he set out to design the better machine gun.
It's the Maxim machine gun of World War I that brought the weapon to the apex of its lethality.
It was the first fully automatic gun, capable of firing a symbolic 666 rounds per minute, with no more effort than the squeeze of its trigger.
Both thumbs on the trigger, and you're firing.
666 rounds per minute, with no more effort than the squeeze of its trigger. Maxim wanted his devil's paintbrush to be so devastating that it would be the ultimate deterrent against aggression, the atom bomb of its day. Trying to arm the world against warfare. Number 1, the Maxim machine gun.
Those who were at the other end of the gun barrel were mowed down like grass. The devil's paintbrush was the perfect nickname for this devastating piece of equipment.
A symbolic 666 rounds per minute.
Maxim licensed its design to the British company Vickers, which quickly produced the Vickers Maxim machine gun. Allowed to keep the rights to his invention, Maxim proceeded to license his weapon to Russia and Germany. He had sold his rapid-fire killing machine to countries that would soon be enemies.
Men could no longer make mass charges across fields, even though they did in World War I. It was just a mass slaughter.
Reports of the slaughter sent shockwaves throughout the world.
Now instead of casualties being in the hundreds or thousands, now they're in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. In World War I, into the millions.
World War I created an arena in which the Vickers and MG08 were pitted against one another. And although they were identical in design, the numbers available at the onset of the war were completely lopsided. Although field commanders knew the dangers of facing machine gun fire in the heavily barbed-wired no-man's land, it did little to change their steadfast tactics.
It was madness to think that the infantry were still the prime way of carrying a position simply by walking into the face of machine guns. It is exactly the tactics that the British espoused.
Armed and ready, German machine gunners mowed down the attacking British infantry, killing thousands in just the first minutes.
Thousands and thousands in a very short time.
Days in, 57,000 British soldiers were either wounded or killed. A dark one-day record in British warfare that still stands today. Many falling to their deaths under a hail of bullets from one of the deadliest weapons ever created, the Maxim machine gun. The Gatling gun was largely abandoned by 1883, when another American,
Berkeley Hotchkiss, designed one of the more unusual and massive revolving guns seen in the West.
Tell me about this unusual weapon of mass destruction. They rotate around a center breech section through.
A Hotchkiss revolving cannon was basically, we were no match for it. Shot exploding rounds, so it basically chased us back across into Canada.
These revolving cannons were put into action, wreaking havoc among the Indian raids, preventing a disaster.
Weapon VX.
Today, only the United States and Russia claim to have stockpiles of VX. There are no confirmed cases of VX being used on people. And there is enough VX in the U.S. and Russian stockpiles to kill millions. So the threat of attack from one of the world's deadliest weapons remains.